record to this. There we go. So maybe I'll ask Father Andrew to just do a brief introduction. Oh, I have some other people coming in, and then we'll kind of launch right into it.
Well, thank you, Father Jack, and good to see everyone again since I was on the road and unable to make our last sessions when we did the module on personnel resources. But very grateful today that Father Jack Ryan, the former president of King's College and our current general steward, will be leading the session for us on financial resources. As he explained in the email, we'll be meeting on a weekly basis for these next 6 weeks with him. The sessions will be a bit shorter, so please plan for that. And if I make one final announcement, there are a few of you who will be getting emails from me who have yet to sign up for your session with Stacy Noem to talk about your project. So if you can do that in the next day or two, you'll avoid a slightly nasty email from me. No, it won't be nasty, but if you could please try to respond to set up a time with her, I'd appreciate that. But other than that, I'd like to turn it over to Father Jack. I've learned a lot from him over these past few years living here in Rome from his vast experience. And I know he's going to be a great asset for all of us, both here on the online program and also when we're together in Notre Dame. So, Jack, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Father Andrew. Perhaps it would be helpful for me. I know you fellows have been together for some time now, but I know some of you, but some of you will be new to me. So if we could just let's see, go through and perhaps just introduce yourself to me, where you're at, what you're doing, and maybe think, is there any subject or topic within the realm of finances, or it could be anything, it doesn't have to be finances, and anything that would be helpful for you to cover, or something that's just strange or unfamiliar, or an area that might be of interest. Then I'll take some notes and I'll try to make sure at least we touch upon some of those. But again, it'll be helpful to me if I get to know better each of you and where you're coming from, and perhaps maybe some of your aspirations. So let's see, how does this organized online? I'm still admitting people. Ken, you want to
Father
start?
Jack, if you want, I can
Yeah,
help. I can
go
call
ahead.
people out.
Sure, that'd be
So,
great.
Brother Ken, you're often our trendsetter. So why don't you launch us?
Okay, thank you very much, Father Andrew. Thank you, Father Ryan. And like Father Andrew said, it's good to hear from you. My name is Brother Ken Good, province of West Africa, Ghana. I work with Vocations and Development Office, Assistant Provincial, and I'm excited to undertake this finance section of our leadership program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Brother Sammy, we were together just a few days ago.
Good evening to all of you. I am Brother
Good
Kulanai
evening.
Sami.
Keep going.
Hello. Good evening to all of you. I am Brother Kulanai Sami from India. I belong to the province of St. Andre province. At present, I am working as an administrator and vice principal of Holy Notre Dame of Holy Cross School in Salem, in Tamil Nadu. And I am happy to meet you all and excited about this program. Thank you.
Okay.
Remember the question Father Jack asked, though, if you do have anything that you're interested in learning about, right, Father Jack? Please add that as well, too. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, Brother Jimmy, you're next.
Hey, Father Jack, Brother Jimmy. I work at King's
Yeah.
College, with which you're very familiar.
Right.
I'm pretty young, I guess, in the stepping into a leadership role, as I guess this is the point of this class. But I'm very interested in kind of topics around like budgeting and like good practices for budgeting. I've seen different kinds of practices where people intentionally budget very high and then with the intent of going under, some budgeting where you're actually trying to be accurate, whether that ends up being above or below. But
Mhm.
I know you have a lot of experience in
Sure.
religious life and in collegiate settings. So kind of your experiences around like what makes for a good budget is really, I think would be helpful for me.
Sure. We'll be spending some time on that in some detail, Brother Jim.
Great. Thank you.
Father Royal,
Hello.
Nazareth.
Hello, everyone, especially Father Jack.
Sure.
I am Father Royal Nazareth. I belong to the province of South India. Currently, I'm assigned as the training director at Peyton Institute for Families. Looking forward to this session. With regard to finance, I don't really have anything to ask
Mhm.
per se,
Mhm.
but I'm quite curious to understand about investments,
Mhm.
like sometimes religious provinces, congregations,
Mhm.
what we call invest to gain more money out of it, something, those policies in line with the poverty and congregational policies and things like that. If you can throw some light on that, would be
Sure.
helpful.
Sure. We'll be doing a whole session on investments. And some of you may have been on the webinar yesterday with Cantor Fitzgerald. We had a little primer on investments, but we'll be spending a whole session on that.
Okay, thank you.
Next on my screen is Brother Rocky.
Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, all of you.
Right.
This is Brother Rocky. I'm from San Joseph province, Bangladesh. Currently, I'm working in Bandra Holy Cross School and College here, the vice principal, and there is one primary school. I'm working there as a headmaster in the primary school.
Mhm.
That's my ministry.
Mhm.
Any curiosities
Thank you.
about finances, Brother Rocky?
Mm. Yeah, I was mentioning that you already know that Jack mentioned that the budgeting, make the budget for the institutions. As
Oh,
it came, that's why I did not say something.
okay.
Father Rodrigo from the beautiful summer in Chile. As we suffer in winter up here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Father Rodrigo. I belong to the district Chile and Peru, and also I belong to the United States province. So I am very happy with this opportunity to share with you. And also my interesting area is investments. I think for me it's a very interesting area.
Mhm.
So hello.
Okay.
Father Arokia Selvaraj, we were just together as well too a few days ago. Blessing a new cell block there at your school, but you're next. You're still muted, but if you could present yourself.
I think
You're
you're
still
still
muted.
uh,
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you for the Andrew for your visit and um, good evening to you all. And I am Father Selvaraj, belongs to the province of Tamil Nadu, India. And right now I am working as a principal of the school um, in Dindigul district, Palani. And so happy to meet all of you once again. What I am interested to know from Father John is planning of financial resources and how we can use it systematically without wasting our fund on anything else than using for the purpose. So that would be a great help for us to allocate the fund and use it for the growth of the institution and so on.
right. Okay.
Brother Torin.
Hello, everyone. This is Brother Torren Joseph Palma from St. Joseph Province. At present, I'm working in Holy Cross School and College, Rajshahi as a principal. So my special studies of the subject is accounting. That is why I'm also very much interested about the budgeting and how to minimize our expenses, daily expenses in our institution or in our house. So
Mhm.
that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll go to the Northeast India, Father Alfred. Good to see you.
Hi, good evening. I am Alfred from the province of Northeast India. I am the financial administrator of the province here. Yeah, I wish to ask, I think already a couple of them have asked these questions. When it comes to investments in our country, it has not much profit making, wherein I think in the West, investment has got its own mark because of the stock exchange ratings, things like that. I think I wish to know those aspects which would be helpful for me for the office as well as for my personal learning as well.
Very good.
Father Anthony.
Yes, good evening, Father Andrew. Good evening, Father John. It's me, Father Anthony, from Holy Cross, Northeast India. Currently, I am the principal of Good Shepherd School and helping the parish as an assistant parish priest. My first thing that I would like to learn, one among the many things, is to identify the financial resources and how we can invest in the required thing that can build up the whole mission or even to the extent of for the province.
Okay, very good.
Father Ronson. We stay on the Indian subcontinent for now, I guess.
Good evening, everyone. I am Father Ronson D'Souza, belongs to the province of South India. Presently, I am the parish priest of St. Louis Church, Mumbai, Maharashtra. I would like to know more about investment. Thank you.
Okay, a lot of investment interest.
Seems so. Father Larry, we'll go with you next.
Hi everyone, Father Larry Mwenya from the province of East Africa. I'm now in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm the pastor of Holy Cross Parish, Dandora. I'm excited to learn more about this topic, about finances, and I hope to get as much as I can from this, the weeks that we shall be together. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Father Larry. We'll stick with your province. Father Julius, you're next on my screen.
Okay, greetings to everyone. I am called Father Julius Mumbere. I'm currently serving as the provincial steward of East Africa. And I'm totally interested in almost entire thing about finances, but particularly I think I'll have interest in budget implementation, strategies that we use or that can be used to ensure that people live by the budget or appreciate how to live by the budget, and also areas of investment will be very, very important to me as a province and my own personal learning. Thank you.
Okay.
Father Julius, I know you're on vacation in San Francisco there. It looks like it's nice. Nice background. Brother Paul. Oh, okay. Very nice. Brother Paul from Ghana.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Brother Paul Bukari from the province of West Africa. And I teach economics in senior high school here in Ghana. And I know when it comes to finances and money issues, it's different from one jurisdiction to the other. So I'm interested in learning from Father's experience and expertise in this particular area. to add up to what we practice here in Ghana. Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Brother Paul. Brother Lucas. Mona Tudu.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I am Brother Lucas Monatudu. I belong to St. Joseph Province. Currently, I am teaching in St. Gregory's High School as a teacher. So I'm very happy and waiting to learn from Father Ryan about the finance, about the account, how it can help the person or individual to do better ministry for the province and wherever it is needed. So I am waiting to learn. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Father Sebastian, back to Africa.
So, hello everybody. I'm Father Sebastian Wavinya. I am working in East African Province, a parish called Our Lady Queen of Peace in Eldoret Diocese. I'm currently the associate pastor of that parish. As far as the topic is concerned, I would like to know about financial discipline and also investments. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Father Sebastian. Father Badon Rosario.
Good evening from Bangladesh. I am Father Badon Rosario. I am working at the Notre Dame University, Bangladesh, as a deputy exam controller. I actually want to expect from this how to do budgeting, and of course, a monthly statement differs from country to country. But I want to, I expect actually how to do yearly statement. What are the things should be included in the yearly statements? Okay, thank you so much.
And then let's see, Father Digonta. I think you're there as well too.
Greetings from Bangladesh. I am Father Digonto Chambugong, a member of the Sacred Heart Jesus Province of Bangladesh. I am working as Assistant Director of the Scholasticate, Rampura, Dhaka, and also working as Assistant Director of the Student Guidance at Notre Dame College, Dhaka. From this course, I expect to know about the financial resources and also how to invest the money for the good use of the congregation and also where am I assigned. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Father. And then last, at least on my screen, someone else could pop up, is whoever is called ASUS. I'm not sure who you are, but if I haven't called on you, now's your chance. Or maybe that's the chat bot listening in. I don't know. But anyone else that I missed?
Okay, well, hey, thank you very much. That's helpful. There's a lot of interest in budgeting. There's a lot of interest in investments. What I'd like to do today is to try to well, first of all, I should say something about myself since you introduced yourself. So, Father Jack Ryan, I came into the community late. I had worked 13 years for a consulting firm, an engineering consulting firm. And so my undergraduate work was in accounting and finance, and in my working, it was in treasury, finance, consulting work in information systems and finance. And when I came into the community, I was sent for advanced studies in business, and I taught at King's College for about 10 years. Then I was the dean of the business school for 7 years, and the last 10 years president. So I had the great privilege of both studying the subject and practicing it. And I always, way back when, a teacher once told me, all of us are doing at least three things all the time, but in different proportions. We're learning, we're teaching, and we're doing. Sometimes in our life, the learning part, when we're students, is the bigger bubble. Sometimes when we're teaching, the teaching part's the bigger bubble. And the doing is we're in active ministry, but all of us, all the time, are learning, doing, and teaching. So I'm this is an area that I've been in a long time. I really enjoy it, but I want to contextualize it to put it in the whole general topic. This is a leadership, and I might be using leadership and management interchangeably, but the whole subject of leadership, where does financial management come in? So I have a slide deck here I'm going to put up and kind of as a guide to walk us through the discussions today. Let me just okay. So my bar is hiding this, but the first question.
We have it.
You have it? Okay.
Why should we be concerned with financial management? That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So why should we be concerned with finance? What this whole subject? Why should we be concerned with it? There's two general categories: stewardship and management. They're not exactly the same thing. Stewardship. I oftentimes when I was in a dean of the business school, faculty would come to me and they'd say, I'd like to go to a conference, and I would say, well, sure, that we're in the business of sending people for ongoing learning and conferences. Where do you want to go? And they would say Las Vegas. And after I heard that about 5 or 6 times, I got a little suspicious. And I would have a little talk I would give to the faculty. I say, do you know where our money comes from? It comes from our students. And most of our students are not well off. They have to struggle to make their tuition payments. Our money comes from our donors. Our donors give us money for mission. They have expectations on how we are going to steward the gift that they give us. Our parishioners give us funds for the mission. They expect us to use it wisely and responsibly and to fulfill their purposes. Many men in Holy Cross that came before us, armies of men, lived very simply, sacrificed a good deal so that we could have financial patrimonies, and they gifted us. They gifted us with these financial resources. So stewardship's really about how we wisely use these gifts, how we use it to serve the kingdom of God and the people of God. And we could either do that well or wisely, or unfortunately, sometimes we could use it unwisely and even perhaps create scandal if we really do a poor job at it. So, I have 2 people waiting to get in the room here. So stewardship is just the moral responsibility we have to shepherd these resources properly. And then, of course, the management is to our mission. There's the old saying, no money, no mission. We need financial resources to make the mission happen, to make God known, loved, and served. And the subject that we'll be dealing with in more detail is to give us information that we will be measuring stuff. We'll be measuring resources, we'll be measuring activities, and we'll be reporting on those activities and those inputs, and it will provide information to help us make decisions. Again, when I was in the classroom, at some point during the semester, I sometimes would get the sense that maybe we were kind of getting lost or our hearts weren't into it. And I would pause And I would ask the class a question. And I was serious about this question. I wasn't pulling their leg or trying to be a wise guy. I would say, now, please tell me, why is it when you graduate, a future employer is going to give you a salary? Can you give me some ideas? And there'd be a pause. And sometimes somebody say, well, they expect us to work hard. And I say, well, yes, but work hard at what? And embarrassingly, I wouldn't get a lot of good answers. And I would say, well, I could tell you what they're not going to do. They're not going to say, do the odd problems on the back of chapter 6. They're not going to say, write me an essay. They're not going to say, do a presentation for me. What we're doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is practicing skill sets, and what we're going to get paid for eventually is the quality of our decision making. We're not going to be pounding nails. We're not going to be doing manual labor. It's not going to be from our brawn. But what we're training ourselves for is to get a skill set, a toolbox, a way to help us make decisions. And what we're going to get paid for is the quality of those choices and the quality of those decisions. So one way or one view that we're going to be looking at how we use information is in decision making. We'll spend a little time on the kind of decision making. The second view on the management of financial resources is what's called the resource-based theory of the firm. And before I get to that, of course, we want to manage our financial resources for sustainability. That is, if we spend, quite simply, if we don't use our financial resources wisely and we spend more than we bring in, we go out of business. We are not sustainable. So the wise and prudent shepherding of our resources simply makes us be sustainable to continue in future generations of the mission. This was a paragraph that was sent out when we introduced the course, and I just want to review it one more time because it sets the stage of what we're going to try to do over these next couple of weeks. Accounting is often called the language of business because it's a formal system of recording. That is to say, every time we do a transaction, every time we spend money, every time that we receive money, we're going to record it. We're going to classify it in a category. We're going to summarize it. And we're going to communicate what happened. We're going to communicate financial information to the stakeholders, religious members, donors, parishioners, creditors, organizational leadership. We're going to be providing them with financial information. It's a systematic communication that conveys through standardized financial statements, that provides insights into our health, our financial health of our parishes, our schools, our social agencies, our jurisdictions, our congregations, our financial health, and our performance. And that this communication will enable us to make informed decisions, evidence-based decisions that will foster trust and fulfills the compliance and reporting requirements. And so many of us, even on this call, are multilingual, speak many different languages, but maybe not the language of accounting and finance. And so this module will begin that process for some and advance that process for others in the language of business. This will be mostly an appreciation course. You're not going to be trained accountants or professional finance people, but it will give you an appreciation for this subject that you could further pursue. So the approach will focus on how to understand and communicate financial information for decision making, performance evaluation, planning, budgeting, sustainability, transparency, trust, risk management, and compliance. So that is kind of a summary of where we want to kind of get to in these different weeks. This comes from the 2022 General Chapter. Financial sustainability was a major theme. Now, I'll tell you, in speaking with other congregations here in Rome, this topic of financial sustainability is a topic all congregations are talking about. So the recommendation of our General Chapter, the chapter recommends that each jurisdiction assess its financial sustainability at every jurisdictional chapter. That the jurisdictions need to have sufficient resources to sustain their formation programs, to provide health care for their members, and to provide the needs of their elderly members. The annual report of a jurisdiction to the general administration should include comments about the jurisdiction's ability to sustain its formation programs, to provide for the health care of its members, provide for the needs of the members, and of course, to continue their mission. And that canonical visits to the jurisdictions will include a review of the jurisdiction's financial sustainability. Now, one thing that we share in common, each one of us on this call, we come from different jurisdictions, different ministries. Some of us work in parishes, some in schools, some in administration, some in different regions of the world, but we have one thing in common. We're all members of the Congregation of Holy Cross. So for the sake of pedagogy, as we go through these exercises during this different module, I'm going to appoint you now, each one of you is an honorary provincial of your jurisdiction. We're going to try to look at these exercises as if you were the provincial, because we're going to be doing exercises that will look at the congregation as a whole, and our strategic plan is going to be the legislation of the General Chapter of 2022. Chapters, whether they're jurisdictional chapters or general chapters, are the closest thing we have in the congregation to strategic planning. Now, you'll be taking a module on strategic planning. That'll be a subject in and of itself, but we'll be using the legislation of 2022 as our guiding kind of principles as an illustration or examples as we go through the subject material. Now, again, you can stop me at any time with questions, with observations. I don't have to run through this slide deck, but I'm using this as a way to guide the conversation. So, management and stewardship of financial resources. So, management. When I was an undergraduate, that was in the 1960s. And they had a definition of management in the 1960s, and it has not changed. The functions of management in 1965 and 2025 have essentially stayed the same. There's generally 4 functions of management. The first function is to planning. To plan our own time. Each one of us every day has the task of our own time management. We have to plan daily. We have weekly plans, the things we want to get done weekly. We have monthly plans. We have yearly plans. Many on the call here talked about the budgeting process, and we'll be getting into the budgeting process, but a big part of management and leadership is planning. We have to plan for capital reserves, plan for capital projects. As the general chapter said, we have to plan for our health care. We have to plan for our formation. We have to plan for contingencies. We have to do strategic and long-term planning. So one big chunk of leadership and management is planning. The second function is to organize. And a big chunk of this planning here is going to cross over many of the modules. Strategic planning module, resource planning module, organizational planning. There'll also be an overlap on many of the different modules. The organizing function of management, a big chunk of that will happen in your organizational behavior module and in your human resource management. Things like organizing people, job descriptions, organizational charts. How is your school organized? How is your parish organized? How do you delegate authority? How do you assign responsibility? How do you assign your resources? How do you organize yourselves across the globe, districts, jurisdictions? So how do we organize ourselves is a function of management and leadership. A third function of management or leadership is to lead. Now, a very short definition of leadership, and this is a big subject, is simply your ability to influence the behavior of other people. That's what leaders do. They're able to influence the behavior of other people. And there's all different kinds of ways you try to influence people. You try to instruct them. You try to motivate them. And the motivation techniques, when you into your organizational behavior, there's different ways of motivating through compensation, through title, through performance evaluation. But the illustration I like to use for leadership is like the conductor of an orchestra. The leader is like the conductor. You have an orchestra out there with many different instruments. They make very different sounds at different times, and they produce wonderful music. And each separate musician has years of training, different backgrounds, different geographical areas, different personalities, different styles. And so the conductor has to be, is the person, they might not be the best at any of those instruments, but they have to be able to know something about those instruments and to bring all these pieces together to make music. They have to have a score. They have to know where this is going. They have to have a vision on where this is leading. And how do they bring all the different pieces together and make music is what a leader does. And the more that we know about the different areas that we're trying to manage, that we're trying to lead, the better equipped we're going to be to bring these people together. Okay, so leadership is really bringing disparate groups together to play on the same page. The control function is where accounting and finance comes in. And control is about how are we doing? We set goals. We executed to those goals. Well, how did we do? So accounting measures. It measures our transactions, and it sees, well, how close did we come? How close did we come to our budget? How close did we come to our strategic plan? How are we doing? It's evidence. And then it's a feedback then we constantly have to revise our goals based on the feedback of measurement. And there's two ways we're going to kind of look at resources, financial resources. One will be the resource-based theory of the firm, and the other will be through the kind of decisions we make. So the resource-based theory of the firm is looking at any organization. It could be a parish, could be a school, could be a province, a district, a congregation. And we have three elements. That we have inputs, stuff comes in. we do something to those stuffs. We process them in some fashion. We transform them. We convert them, and we generate something. So we have inputs. We have processes. You know, interesting, these words transformation, that's a big Holy Cross word, transformation. We're taking stuff and we are transforming them. We are converting them. Those are religious terms. We're taking inputs and converting them, transforming them to become something else, something bigger and better than what the input was. This is the firm as a transformational process. So we'll be looking at the resource-based theory of an organization or a firm is focusing on managing and identifying the inputs. Okay, inputs that transform hearts and minds with zeals and communities of hope. This was I know King's College used this. Many of our Holy Cross schools do this as a mantra. A transformation process that transforms hearts and minds with zeals and communities of hope. And so what are the kind of things that are inputs? What comes into this box for processing? What do we need to run any organization? We need people. We need money. We need buildings. We need equipment. We need supplies. We need know-how. And much, much more. These are illustrations. These elements are measured and recorded, and they're put on a financial statement known as a balance sheet or a statement of financial condition. It's a statement that will list all our assets, all our liabilities, and we'll talk about more about what liabilities are. Those are the things we owe. And the difference between those two things, and we'll talk about this in more detail, is what we own. But these are the inputs, the resources that we are going to account for and manage wisely in some kind of process. A parish process, a school process, a jurisdictional process. And we'll then have some sort of output based on our strategic plan, based on our budget, based on our goal setting. So these are just kind of some illustrations of processes. You know, if you're congregationally here in Rome, what do the guys do? They do visits. We have committee assignments. We help people with grants. We work on the causes for saints. We're a house of hospitality. We animate chapters. Those are processes we do. If you're in jurisdictional leadership, what are the kind of processes? Well, you have different apostolic missions. Some of you in formation processes, some in healthcare processes, administration processes, finance processes. Parishes, the processes could be sacramentals, celebrations, catechesis, schools, teaching, faith education, leadership formation, etc., etc. Just to give you a sense of many different kinds of processes, then that leads to outputs. Spiritual outputs to strengthen the faith of the parish life, increased participation in the sacraments, renewed Christian commitment, educational outputs, perhaps academically and spiritually formed students, graduates committed to service and justice, social outputs, improved living conditions, empowered communities, greater social awareness, communication outputs, wider evangelization research, inspired audience, positive church presence in the media, institutional outputs, sustained mission, stronger partnerships, growth in vocations, lay collaborations, financial resources, accounting, and finance is in service of these outputs. No money, no mission. It's not an end to itself. It serves something. Sometimes we look at these inputs and outputs in a kind of a simple way or a diagram way. The circle here would be outputs as in O, and the little I here would be inputs. And one very simple calculation that's often made is productivity, that it's the efficiency in which your relationships are between your outputs and your inputs. If your inputs and your outputs are in balance, roughly the same size, if this little I here is roughly the same size of this O, there's no change in our productivity. We're kind of breaking even. If societies just stay at break even, we never grow. We never become wealthier. If jurisdictions or schools or parishes, if our inputs and our outputs are always about the same, we're going to be staying the same. We're not going to be growing. We're not going to be shrinking. If our outputs are bigger than our inputs, we're going to have productivity gains. Societies grow, countries grow, economies grow, parishes grow, jurisdictions grow. So this would be a goal here. Get our outputs greater than our inputs, have productivity gains. And if our inputs are greater than our outputs, we're going to have decreased productivity, and eventually we will cease to exist. So this is not sustainable. This is sustainable, but not growing. And this would be the ideal. We want to get our outputs something greater than our inputs. And this works for countries as well as congregations. Let's just say this O right here. And for many of us, let's say that's a pizza pie. A pizza pie is generally round here in Italy. And if we had this piece of pizza, and here's where the pizza was yesterday. And it stayed the same, but we had more people come into our house. We had 12 people yesterday, and now we have 15 people. But the pizza pie stayed the same. So how would we have to share this pizza pie now? Instead of among 12 people, we'd have to share it among 15 people, and everybody would get a smaller piece of pizza. Well, what's true of eating a piece of pizza? The same thing as an economy. If the economy doesn't grow and the people grow, everyone is generally going to have a smaller income, a smaller piece of pizza. The way if economies grow faster than people, then everybody gets wealthier. In a congregation, if our outputs grow faster than our inputs, we can expand our evangelization. What's true of societies, in congregations and institutions holds true across all domains. So we'll be looking at getting money, sources of income. All of us, no matter what kind of ministry we're in, we'll be getting money from salaries, from rental properties, from contributions, from investments, and we'll be talking about those sources of money. And through topics of ministry portfolio. And what I mean by ministry portfolio is at a jurisdiction level, we're going to have some balance of ministries to keep us sustainable. If everybody worked in ministries that didn't produce any money, well, that portfolio isn't going to work. That's not sustainable. We're going to have some ministries that generate income to support other ministries that generate less income. And we're going to have to find what's the balance of ministry portfolios that work for our jurisdiction. We all can't be in jurisdictions that make money, because then we wouldn't be servicing areas that are in dire need. And conversely, we can't all be in areas of dire need, but then we wouldn't have money to serve them. So we're going to have to get a ministry portfolio that is sustainable. We're going to talk about investment portfolios, and many of you mentioned about how to tackle the area of investments. Fundraising is increasingly an important source of money. And there's an art and there's a science to fundraising. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. And endowments and investments go hand in hand. Endowments are that legacy that has been given to us through donors and previous generations of Holy Cross that we are going to use and manage for the ongoing mission. We're going to use the uses of income. We're going to talk about our operating expenses, our non-operating expenses, and how do we evaluate capital? How do we make decisions on capital? So we'll be looking at financial statements, capital projects, and the topics of planning, budgeting, and strategic management. All those will be individual subjects. So in summary, we'll be talking about managing people, finances, faith resources as inputs, the processes, and the outputs. So the other way of framing the whole area of leadership and management is through the decision-making process. And decision-making is usually strategic, tactical, and technical. You're going to be having a whole module on strategic decision-making. And essentially, those are decisions that require lots of money, that cover many years, and it's not going to be easy to reverse those decisions. Once you make those big decisions, it's hard to undo them. Tactical decisions are our budgeting process, kind of like a year-long lookout. And the technical decisions are, your weekly budgets, your monthly budgets, your planning, your liturgical cycles, the planning you're doing by weeks and your months. So again, strategic decisions, setting long-term goals, deciding what ministries we might get into, capital budgets, long-term vocation planning, decisions that involve large sums of money over extended periods of time, and we can't easily reverse those decisions. Again, the tactical decisions, annual budgets, training programs, communication strategies, and then to translate those strategies into effective and coordinated ministry programs. These are tactical decisions. And the technical ones, as I said, the daily operations, I won't read them. They're handled there for you. So financial information that could guide our decision-making processes. And remember, gentlemen, what you're going to get assigned to is to be decision makers, to making choices. What should I do? What should we do? What should I become? What should we become? And the quality of those choices and decisions are what a leader and a manager is responsible for, and coordinating those decision-making processes. One little slide here. This is really about organizing. I'm saying this because I'm going to ask you to take a global or congregational-wide view as we go through the module, to kind of take off your jurisdiction hat or your school hat or wherever you're at and put the congregational hat on. And this little model here, I apologize, it's a little bit foggy, but it comes from two researchers, Goschel and Bartlett, and they talked about 4 ways that organizations can organize themselves in a global fashion. And there's actually 4 technical terms. Now, there's 2 dimensions on this graph. The vertical diagram here is called global integration. This is efficiency. This is efficiency. And the horizontal vector here is local responsiveness. That is how close we are to the local reality. How good are we with the country or the school or the parish, how quickly we can respond. And the way we organize ourselves will have advantages and disadvantages. Some organizations organize themselves as an international organization. This is a technical term, international organization. Import-export companies are international organizations. They're located in just one geographic region. They know how to do one thing very, very well, and they ship it out. All right? They're not in other countries. They don't have to worry about global presence. They don't have to worry about global syndication. They import, they export. Above them, a global organization is one that is very, very good at something, and it operates in many different jurisdictions, but it does not delegate authority very well. Now, in the 1980s, this is before many of you were around, one of the big leaders in international business was Japan. They were really going all, it was before China was hot. Japan was a global organization. They were incredibly efficient, and their products were some of the highest quality in the world. And they were in many countries, but there were only one way to do things. It was the Japanese way. If Japan went to the United States, you made the car in the United States, but you did it the Japanese way. There was one way to do something. It was highly efficient, but it did not take into the local responsiveness. The opposite of that, and I think this is pretty much where Holy Cross is right now, we're a multinational organization. We're in many, many countries, and we're very good in those countries at responding to the local reality, but we're less good at being transnational. That is, we don't make strategy on a congregational level as well and as tightly as we do at the jurisdiction level. We have jurisdictions hats on, and we think about our jurisdiction, and we're very, very good at that. A transnational company would be like Nestle's or Procter & Gamble, one that is in many, many countries, but does strategy primarily looking at the whole world and moves resources and people around the globe to optimize the efficiency of operations. If we have a great opportunity in Bangladesh, we move to Bangladesh people and money. If we have a great opportunity in Canada, we move money and people to Canada. If we have a great opportunity, the starting point is you look globally, and how do you platform or resource your resources to the best effect globally. So I'm going to suggest to you, how can we move Holy Cross here to more look at it from a transnational perspective as we look through our exercises in the coming weeks. Now, I know we hit the 60-minute mark. I'm going to stop my sharing here. I'll open it
Jack,
up.
do you mind if I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
Just briefly about that graph.
Sure.
I think, brothers, especially from the time that I've had here in Rome, and I think Father Jack could probably second this as well too. On that last graph, you could also position religious communities because there are different ways in which religious congregations are organized, in which they operate. Some are more centralized, some are more decentralized in their structures, both in terms of authority, in terms of finance, and mission responsiveness as well too. So I think one of the learning exercises for us here has been, well, how does Holy Cross do things? How do others do things? And what are our strengths? And maybe what are our weaknesses? Seeing ourselves in comparison to other communities. So just as Father Jack was doing with the organizations, we could do that with some of the other religious communities, like the Jesuits, who are more centralized, or some other communities where financing is controlled through Rome rather than through provinces. And that creates different dynamics, as Father Jack said. So it also might be worth thinking about the communities and have had an experience with, how they might fit on that graph as well, too.
Sure, that's true, Father Andrew. And in organizational behavior, we usually look at a structure in more detail, But clearly that's an important item. Now look, when I was the president of a college, I had the King's College hat on, and that was my number one responsibility. So I was the cheerleader for the college. And if I went to the parish, I'd have a parish hat on. And when I go to Rome, I got the Rome hat on. So I get the idea that we're the champion to wherever we're at. But it's also good to get above that and think of it strategically. Like, how are we called to be cross borders of every kind? And because that's the one thing we have in common. And we could, and I'm appointing you all provincials now. So I'm asking you to think about this in terms of optimizing the benefit of the whole. That'll kind of be the perspective as we going forward. So what I thought I would do for the next time, because yesterday we had the session from Cantor Fitzgerald, and some of you were on that webinar, and many of you mentioned investments. Since we'll go right into investments, although that's not the logical process, it may be because there's recency bias that it's on our minds, and we've had a webinar. We'll focus on endowments and investments next week, and I'll send you some materials on that, and they'll be short materials. They won't be long materials. They either be short little videos or video little clips, and we'll kind of take up the topic of investments. Any questions, observations, comments? Well, I want to thank you for your kind attention. Wish you well this next week and look forward to getting together next Friday.
Great to see everyone. God bless.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.